All right, ladies, as promised, I want to bring you the content that I was not able to get to last night during the Losing Weight with Low Thyroid Masterclass. So this information is, so important that it's really the missing key to really having long-term results. So let's get right to it. All right, so this information is so critical to long-term success with your health, whether you are really focusing on releasing weight or you're focusing on any other symptom. This is the information that is imperative, but this information is not taught because it's harder to focus on this part versus all the other stuff, right? So I want to introduce something called the 80-20 rule. So most of the time, we're all focused on the 20%. Only 20% of what actually gets us results is what we are focusing 100% of our time on. Now, that 20% is the diet that you're supposed to be following, the lab tests that you're supposed to be getting, the supplements that you're supposed to be taking, the exercise that you're supposed to be doing. And we focus 100% of our time on that, but it only moves the needle 20%. So we are forgetting about, and we don't understand and know about the 80% that actually moves the needle. All right, so let's focus on the 80%. So the 80% is really what's going on in your subconscious mind. Now, your subconscious mind is the part of your mind that is responsible for your breathing, for your thoughts, for your heart beating, the things that you don't have to think about that just run on autopilot. You have two parts to the brain. You have the subconscious mind and you have the conscious mind, right? So the conscious mind is what you are listening to me with. It's what you're writing notes with. It's what you go through life when you're awake. During your day, you're using your subconscious mind. I'm sorry, you're using your conscious mind. Now, when you go to sleep at night, your subconscious mind is still running, but your conscious mind goes to sleep and it takes a break. All right. But your subconscious mind is going on 24 hours a day, and essentially it's recording everything. And the subconscious mind essentially lives by three rules. All right. It's to keep you alive, to keep you safe, and to keep you away from pain. Write those down. Now, it's always recording all the things that are going on throughout the day, and it's looking for any kind of threats, any kind of danger, and it's looking in its file cabinet for past experiences or memories that might be familiar with maybe not keeping you safe or alive or away from pain today. So it's always trying to evaluate, what is going on with the current circumstances based on your past experiences. And so I want you just to think about that. It's supposed to keep you alive, keep you safe, and keep you away from pain. It's always trying to work for you. But I want you to think about the subconscious mind is like a computer program. All right. It doesn't determine whether something is a joke or, whether, something is real or not real. All the information going in, it takes at face value. All right. So this is really, really important because the subconscious mind responds to the pictures that you see and the words that you say. All right. So it's always trying to help you. It's always trying to make what you say come true. It's always trying to make your life a better experience. And remember, it's going on past experiences and looking through the filter of what you've experienced in the past to what's going on today. All right. So let's think about this. If the subconscious mind responds to the pictures we see, and the words that we say, when you say something like, I can't ever lose weight, nothing I ever do works. If I lose weight, I gain it all back. So when you say words, you're actually programming your mind for your mind and your subconscious mind to actually make that come true. So if you say, nothing I ever do works, when I lose weight, I gain it all back. Well, when you start to lose weight, your subconscious mind is like, oh, she wants to gain it all back. And so here comes the sugar cravings. Here comes the negative self-talk. Here comes all the things that sabotage your progress. And then it reinforces that belief that you have that nothing you ever do works. And whenever you start to lose weight, you gain it back. So we have to be extremely careful and conscious about the things that we think to ourselves. Like if you look in the mirror and you're like, oh my gosh, I am so fat. Your mind's like, oh, she wants to be fat. Or if you joke with a friend and you say, if you're joking and you are self-deprecating, or you're saying, oh, this menopausal belly, it's always here, I'm going to gain weight 5 pounds every year. You're literally programming your body. Even if you're saying it as a joke, your subconscious mind has no idea that you are joking. It thinks that whatever you're saying is real. For example, if you put a command into a computer, but your tone is joking, the computer doesn't know that your tone is joking. Your computer just takes the words as is, and it starts to spit out the program of what you are trying to tell it to do. It's literally like a robot. So you have to be very conscious, aware. You have to be very aware of all the things that you're thinking and all the things that you're saying, because your subconscious mind is responding. Now, the one thing that we have control over is the things that we think and the things that we say. But what we don't have control over is what the subconscious mind is going to do with those things that we think and that we say. And so you have to think about, you have to become aware of what's going on in that head of yours, what it is that you're saying to yourself every day. And you have to catch the thoughts that aren't consistent with your goals. So ladies, we have been having these thoughts. I remember way back, I was a gymnast when I was younger, all the way until I think middle school. And I remember as a young girl thinking that I was fat, probably because, a lot of attention was on bodies, and you're in leotards, and, there is just an emphasis on body image and the way that you look when you're in gymnastics. And I remember as like a 6-year-old thinking I was fat. I mean, there wasn't an ounce of fat on my body, but I remember thinking that I was fat. Now, where I got that, I don't know. Maybe I heard my mom or my aunts or my grandmother, or maybe I heard them criticizing some other people, or maybe I heard a teammate or a friend commenting on weight. Who knows where I got that? But I started to criticize myself at a very young age. And I think we could probably, if we look back, all have the same experience on some level or another. Whether you have felt like you were overweight your whole life, I have communicated with patients that have been on a diet since they were 5, 6, 7 years old. And so these habits that we have and how we communicate with ourselves, they started decades ago. And we have to start to break those habits, because they do become a habit. And when it becomes a habit, you're like constantly reprogramming your subconscious mind. And did you realize that we think about, I forget the exact number, 90,000 thoughts a day? It's either 90,000 or 75,000 thoughts a day. And 90% of those thoughts are the exact same thoughts that we had the day before. We are literally on repeat, on repeat, on repeat every single day. And you get the constant programming of your subconscious mind. And I want you to think about this too. The energy and the emotion that you carry about yourself, it influences and impacts your health and your livelihood. There's science projects that children do, and that I'm sure was done once by adults. But if you put 2 plants together, side by side, and one plant you speak kindly to. You say, "You are great. I am proud of you. You are beautiful. I love you." The plant flourishes. If you take the other plant, the same type of plant, and you give it the same water and the same food and the same sunlight, and you say, "You are so fat. I can't believe you behave like that. You're a failure. You never will add up to anything." These are the things that we say to ourselves. Nothing you ever do works. You're just going to be fat and ugly and unhealthy because that's your genetics. That plant will wilt and die. And so I want you to think about the expectation that we have. We want our bodies to behave a certain way. We want to be fit. We want to be toned. We want to be healthy. We don't want to have chronic degenerative diseases. But yet, what we are feeding our body is criticism and hate and anger and frustration and resentment. And we expect our bodies to act like we are feeding it love and respect and gratitude. And so I want you to think about, just for a moment, what are some of the things that or habits that you would like to start changing about the way that you are treating your body? And this is something that I do. I love plants, right? I have a really big garden. And yes, I talk to my plants and I play my plants. There's studies that show if you play your plants classical or jazz music, they grow exponentially better than no music. Or if you play the rock music, the third best music is actually country music, which I was surprised because usually it's kind of sad. But I love country music, but I do have to be careful about the songs that I listen to because some of those songs are not appropriate for my subconscious mind. But I think about, how can I treat my body as well as I treat my plants? I have plants all around me. You can't really see. I have an orchid back there. I've got orchids everywhere. I just love flowers and plants, and I adore them, admire them, and give them gratitude every single day. And I think, gosh, I am treating those plants way better than I treat myself. And so I practice visualizing that I am a plant and that I am giving myself love just like I give other plants, right? So you can think about it like that. You can think about some of the tricks that you could think about is, if when you were growing up, maybe you didn't grow up in a loving household, or maybe your parents didn't show you a lot of love. Maybe you had some, terrible experiences when you were growing up. You can't change the past, but you can change the way that your body is responding it, and we can really work to stop bringing our past into our future, right? So you're not going to change the way that your parents behaved, but you're still lacking that love that you really wanted and needed when you were a 7-year-old child. So you could think about yourself as that 7-year-old child, and you can tell it what you wanted to hear. You can tell it, "I love you." You can tell it, "I'm proud of you. You're beautiful. You're going to be a light in the world," right? So you can go back and in your mind or in the mirror when nobody's watching, in a journal, you can journal that out if you want to. But it really helps to reprogram the subconscious mind so that you're not continuing to bring the past into your future and into the present, because it really makes a huge difference. So I just want you to remember how your subconscious mind works. It's to keep you alive, it's to keep you safe, and to keep you away from pain. And I want you to think about this pain part. All right. So when it comes to us changing our habits, especially when it revolves around health and changing the way that you eat and getting sugar out of your diet and all of those things, a lot of times we position this in our mind as a painful situation. Like we are being deprived, somebody's making us do this, we are a victim to our health. Why do I have these genetics? And so when you position the changes that you need to make in a way that it's being imposed upon you, or that you're coming from a state of victimhood, or you have to do something and you're not choosing to do something, your subconscious mind views that as being painful. So it's going to do everything it can to get you out of pain. It's to keep you away from pain. And so you're going to self-sabotage. You're going to create circumstances where you will not be able to keep going and keep moving forward. You're going to create excuses for why you can't keep moving forward. So I want you just to be aware of this, because when we become aware, then you can start to notice when that's happening. And you can say, oh, I see. I see. I've been looking at this as a painful situation. And so you can make a change there, because the only thing you can do is you can change the way that you think, you can change the thoughts that you have, and you can change the visualization or the pictures that you have in your mind. Now, you've been working on this for a bit. Like I said earlier, we've been having these habits for decades, and it's not going to change overnight. And it's something that we have to be conscious of, and it takes practice. You've literally been having the same gajillion thoughts every day for the last a gajillion years. So you have to start to slowly change those thoughts. And it will not happen overnight, and you will not be perfect. And I have been knowing about this information for decades. And guess what? I still work on it every day. In the mirror, when you look at yourself, instead of saying, oh my gosh, I'm so fat, you could say, hey, you're making some progress. You did a great job yesterday. You were a work in progress. You were on your way, right? So you've been strong. You have done a great job. And you can say those things instead. You could find things that you love about your body. And it doesn't necessarily have to be your hips or your belly, but it could be anything, your smile, your teeth, your hair, your hands, your feet, your fingernails, whatever it is. If you start to find things that you love about yourself, your energy starts to change, and you start to feed your soul, and you start to feed your body. So I would like for you in the comments below to write down 3 things that you love about yourself. 3 things that you love about, first of all, let's do 2 things. We're going to do 3 things that you love about your person, meaning like, are you kind? Are you happy, joyful? Are you a servant to others? Do you serve others? What do you love about you as a personality? And then I want you to do 3 things that you love about your physical body. All right, write that in the comments. All right, so 6 things to think about, 6 things to write. Okay, one other thing that's really, really, really important as we are talking about weight loss is the way that we are framing and talking about losing weight. The subconscious mind views loss as pain. I want you to think about anytime you lose something, your mind starts to think, oh my gosh, this is negative. I have to go about getting that back. If you lose your house, if you lose your keys, if you lose money, if you lose any physical thing, your body, your subconscious mind is like, how do I get that back? All right. So when you say, I want to lose weight or I lost weight, your subconscious mind is like, okay, well, how do we get that back? It can't decipher, like, when we lose something on this instance, it's good. And when we lose something on that instance, it's bad. It just says lose is bad for everything. So when we lose weight, the subconscious mind is like, oh my gosh, she lost weight. We got to go get that back, because that is not a good thing. So I want you to think about how we can rephrase our desire or need to lose weight. So when I was going through this several years ago, I was playing around with the words, and I was like, okay, maybe I want to be skinny. Like, oh, that doesn't sound so good. I live in a house of boys, and skinny is a bad word. Skinny to them, they don't like necessarily skinny girls, and they don't like themselves to be skinny. And so in my house, that word has negative energy. So I'm like, okay, I don't really want to be skinny anyway. What do I really want? And what I really, as I was thinking about this and I was feeling the words, I was trying them out and saying them out loud, what I really wanted was to be toned and to be fit. So that's what I was really looking for, and to be lean. That's why how I can literally, like, the same week that I was thinking about this, I came up with this group, Happy, Healthy, and Lean. I even reserved the website Happy, Healthy, and Thin. I'm like, ooh, that doesn't sound good either. So it's Happy, Healthy, and Lean. Now, I want to be lean and I want to be toned and I want to be fit. That's kind of what resonates with me at this phase in my life. For me, having muscle mass improves longevity. Having muscle mass, I like the way that that looks. Now, for me personally, I'm not trying to be muscle bound like a, a male version of a female, but I just want to have good muscle tone so that I can improve longevity and that I can stay out of a nursing home. Did you guys realize that the number one reason people go into a nursing home is because they cannot stand up off the toilet? Because they have such little muscle mass, they can't actually stand up. So I went on a little tangent. We'll talk about that later. But for me, I wanted to be lean, I wanted to be toned, and I want to have good muscle mass. And so instead of me saying I want to lose weight, I say I want to get toned and I want to increase my muscle mass and I want to get lean. So I want you to think about, what are your real goals? Instead of saying lose weight, what could you say instead? You know, one of the ideas and one of the things that I use in sentences and when I communicate with potential patients and patients is we talk about releasing weight. Releasing weight has a much better sound and energy around it than losing weight. Some people say they want to let go of 10 pounds or 20 pounds. I had one lady say she was divorcing her weight, and for her, that was a really good thing. So if that has good energy for you, you could say that. I really like releasing weight, but I want you in the comments to write down, what is that word for you that resonates best, that feels the best, and what is it that you're really trying to accomplish? What is the real goal? You know, is it that you want to get skinny? Is it that you want to get thin? Or is it that you want to get lean and more muscle tone, or more definition, lower body fat? What is it that resonates better with you? And so go ahead and write that in the comments section. All right, the other thing that's really important, and I touched on it, but I just want to make the point, is that when you have something being imposed upon you, or you are a victim and you have to do something that you begrudgingly are doing, the body, the subconscious mind associates that with pain. And so instead of you having that perspective, if you would switch your perspective to, I'm choosing to do this because I want a better life. I want to be healthy. I want time with my grandkids. I want to maintain my independence. I want to prevent chronic degenerative diseases. So I'm choosing this path. That completely changes your subconscious mind's response and reactions. And it allows you to stick with something instead of on the short term, you do well and then you fall off and it's hard to get back on. So I want you to think about it this way. If you go out with your girlfriends, right? They invite you to go to happy hour and you're like, oh, I don't want to go to happy hour because I'm not drinking right now. And where do they want to go? They want to go to pasta. They want to go Italian. And, you know, I'm not eating bread, pasta, rice, and potatoes. What in the world am I going to do? So I feel like a victim and I'm going to say I just can't go. Okay. So that's one option. The second option is you're like, okay, I'll go. But I am, you know, on this diet, but I'll go. And so you get there and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could do this. I don't know what to order. They're ordering all this Prosecco and I don't want to drink Prosecco. And you look on the menu and they're ordering all these pizza and pasta. And you look at the salads and you're like, I don't want to eat a salad. You don't even recognize the rest of the menu, and you sit there and you're kind of pouting, and they're like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And you're like, "Well, I gotta eat this salad. I'm not eating that stuff right now, but I gotta eat this salad, and I'm just gonna eat that salad." And they're like, "Oh, you can just order it one time. It's not going to be a big deal. Just order it one time with us for happy hour." And you're like, "No, I'm going to stick with this and I'm going to order salad." So the waiter comes around and you order the salad, and here comes all the pizza and the pasta. And they're like, "Here, just have one slice. It's not going to be that big of a deal." And your subconscious mind is like, "Man, she's in so much pain. This is terrible. So it is not worth it. And just one piece of pizza is not going to hurt whatsoever." So you give in and you say, "Okay, I'll just have one piece of pizza." And so you have one piece, and that leads to two pieces or three pieces because they didn't eat all of theirs. And then you go home and then you feel terrible and then you beat yourself up about it. And then you just keep spiraling down, and it's hard to get back on it. And it's hard to get back on it because why would you get back on something that was painful, that felt like a punishment? Now, here's the third scenario. In your mind, you have committed and chosen to go down a different path and to have a different life. And this is something that is empowering to you. And you know that it's the right thing in the long term. And all you keep in your head is that image and the vision of the body that you're trying to create and the life that you're creating with your family and your kids and whatever it is that you're supposed to do here. Your girlfriends call you and you say, "Sure, I would be happy to go." And then you get online and you look at the menu and you say, "Okay, um, I see several options here. This salad looks good. Not sure about the dressings that they use." And, if you go to a decent Italian restaurant, they're going to have protein and vegetables. So you can look at chicken and you can ask for grilled vegetables, or you can have a steak and you can ask for grilled vegetables and no pasta. And so you're like, "Okay, they have options. So in case I order the salad, I'm going to bring my own salad dressing so I don't have to worry about that." And I always have the option if I'm feeling like I need something heavier, I can order a grilled chicken breast with some veggies on the side. And we're going to hold the rice or the potatoes and order extra vegetables. They don't care if you do that. And you're going to go and you're going to enjoy the talk around your girlfriends because after all, that is why you're there, is to socialize, to connect, to be with other women. And they're ordering things that you can't eat and you don't make a big deal out of it. You say, "No, thank you. I'm choosing not to have that today." You're like, "Oh, okay. All right." So most of your friends, if they are friends of yours, will be fine with that and they're not going to push you. But you see, the words that I said was, "I'm choosing not to have that," instead of "I can't have that," and acting like a victim and suffering, because then they're going to push it on you because they don't want to see you suffering either, right? They don't want to see you in a painful situation. But if you're like, "Yeah, I'm just choosing not to have that right now, but I have plenty of things to order off the menu, I'm going to be just fine." And then the conversation usually stops. And then we start talking about whatever it is that we're talking about. The waiter comes, you say, "I'm going to have a salad and just hold the dressing." And I have my own dressing, and everybody orders their stuff, and you are fine eating whatever it is that you ordered. And your girlfriend, you continue the conversation, and the food and the subject is not around your pain about choosing, around your pain about having to follow something that you don't choose to follow. So if you make a choice to do it, you feel better. When you come out of there, you feel like you succeeded. You actually get a shot of dopamine. When you feel like dopamine is kind of like your reward neurotransmitter. You feel proud that you stuck with it and that you chose to have a good time and you chose to make the right choices, and you continue on the next day and you continue on the next day after that and the next day after that. And if you understand how your mind works, you can use it to work to help you achieve your goals. Otherwise, it has its own goals that it's created because of what you've said, and it is always monitoring how you're feeling. And are you in danger? Are you going to die? And are you in pain? And it's going to always try to get you away from those things. So it's working for you, but you just have to learn how to work with it so that it helps to achieve the goals that you're trying to achieve, especially if these goals are different from what you've done in the past. Okay. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is false beliefs. So false beliefs are, there's three false beliefs that really everybody is struggling with on some level or another. But one in particular, every single person struggles with, and that is, I am not enough. That is a false belief that we all have on some level. The second belief is I am different. And the third belief is it's not available to me. Write those down. Okay, I am not enough. I am not enough means like, I'll give you an example. I am not enough. We all struggle with this. And I was struggling with this when I didn't even realize it. Several years ago, before 2020, probably 2018 actually, when I was doing some self-development work, because I'm always working on myself, right? I feel like if you don't work on yourself and all of this stuff, because it's the 80% that you're really it's going to be a struggle to move the needle. So I'm always working in this area. And I was doing a meditation and I was thinking about, what my goals were and why I was struggling to achieve the goals. And I was doing a meditation and it was like, what is that false belief? And it just like popped into my head, I am not enough. And I'm like, that is weird because I don't feel like I am not enough. You know what I mean? It's not a conscious thing where I think I'm not enough or good enough. But at the end of the day, anytime you have a struggle, there's a false belief. And so I dug into that a little bit, just thinking and journaling and trying to figure out where that was coming out. And I was scared to get on social media. Why was I scared to get on social media? Because I felt like I didn't know enough. I didn't have enough experience. I wanted to do some cooking demonstrations and I wanted to do these other things. And I was like, but you're not a chef. Like those thoughts that you have in your head, that devil's advocate is usually showing you what your false beliefs are. And so I realized that I thought to myself, well, who else has more experience than me? Who in the world has been doing functional medicine longer than I've been doing functional medicine? I've been doing functional medicine longer before it was ever even called functional medicine. This is in my heart and my soul. And this is what I've lived in my whole life for over 20 years. And I thought, that is a really weird thing. What else is it that you're worried about? Oh, I'm worried about what people are going to say about me. And I'm like, well, it's not really what about people say about you. It's what you think about yourself. And so as I was talking to myself and overcoming these things, I'm like, you know what? If I don't do it, who is? And I have so much information that I need to, because I ultimately have a mission to change the face of healthcare. And how am I going to change the face of healthcare if I'm scared to get out there and say my message? And so that was a level of I am not enough. It's a level of I am not enough. I'm too fat to do this. I don't know enough to do this. If there's some kind of limitation for you for achieving some goal that you're trying to achieve, it's usually because you have a subconscious or a false belief that I am not enough. Now, the other false belief, I am different. I am different is like, well, I can't achieve the goals that all of these other people on this page have achieved because I'm too old. I am too poor. I am a different race. I am blah, blah, blah. Right. So it doesn't matter. I will say this, you're not different. We all have our own unique imbalances and we have our own unique talents. But at the end of the day, as a human being, we all have the same basic needs. We all have a body that is born to heal. And if you find the underlying root cause and the underlying imbalances and you work to resolve those issues, your body can heal also. So I want you to think about what you think to yourself as what is your excuse for why you're not getting great results? What is your excuse for not being able to release weight or achieve some certain level of health? Now, the third false belief is it's not available to me. That means it's my genetics. right? So I have this weight issue because it's genetic. My mom dealt with this, my sister dealt with this, my aunts dealt with this, everybody dealt with this. So this is my plight in life. It's not available to me. So that's kind of like what it looks like when you have the false belief of it's not available to me. Now, one of the things that you have to realize is first, you've got to recognize what the false belief is. Secondly, if it's a belief that you're tired of holding on to and it's false and you want to replace it, number one, you have to make the choice to replace it. It has to be a choice. Number two, you have to replace it with something else. So you have to replace it with, this is available to me. I was born to heal. I can see it all over the place. There are hundreds of ladies here giving testimonials. Dr. Heather's worked with thousands of ladies that have had great results. So it must be true. And so then your brain starts looking for scenarios and instances and pictures to reaffirm that new belief so that the belief, if you don't choose and you don't reaffirm the belief, then you're going to go back to the old belief. And if you decide that you want to have a new belief, but you don't nurture that, your subconscious mind is going to go back to the belief that's been there the longest. So you have to continually remember, we say we think the same thoughts, like 90% of the same thoughts every single day. And so you have to replace that old thought with this new thought, and you have to rethink that every day. And if you notice the old thought coming in that doesn't support the new belief, you just have to change the thought, right? You will hear in your mind, you'll hear it say, gosh, is this going to work? It's in my genetics. And you say, we aren't thinking that anymore. My body is born to heal. And we now have the knowledge of epigenetics, and we know that we can turn genes on and turn genes off based on the environment. And what we really focus on is the environment outside of ourselves, but we forget about the environment inside of ourselves. So we have to change the environment inside of ourselves as well as the environment outside of ourselves. That's what turns genes on and off. All right. So you have to first identify the false belief. You have to choose a different belief if you're tired of that old false belief. And then you have to be conscious and be aware of your thoughts throughout the day. And you have to catch the thought that supports the old belief system. And then you have to replace it with a thought that supports your new belief system. This is active. This is something that takes attention and takes practice and takes constant evaluation of what's going on in your head. All right. Now, I want you to think about, so wherever you're struggling, whether it's with relationships, your marriage, financially, health-wise, weight-wise, any of that stuff, there is a false belief somewhere. So I want you to think about it. I want you to sit with yourself. I want you to turn off all your media, turn off all the distractions. I do my best thinking in the shower, in the bathtub, or in the sauna. That's kind of where I do my best thinking. And then, of course, I sit in silence often and meditate so that I can change the inside environment. All right. So find out what your false beliefs are and then work to change it. Choose to change the belief if that's what you want. And then you've got to work to notice the thoughts that support the false belief. And you've got to change those throughout the day. Sometimes I will catch myself looking at myself in the mirror and saying, oh my gosh, look at this cellulite. And then I start to think, thank you for sharing, but my body is a work in progress and we are making progress. We are on our way. We're doing what we need to do. So thank you for sharing. And then I move on. And then it cancels out that thought and then we move on. But you got to catch those thoughts. All right. Now, the third thing that we really need to focus on is conflicting beliefs. Okay. So conflicting beliefs. If you have a conflicting belief, the subconscious mind, remember, always goes back to the belief that's been there the longest. So I hear you say, and I have said also, and maybe sometimes still do, I hear you say, nothing I ever do works. But then you say, I want to try this new diet. because I'm hopeful that it will work. But you have two conflicting beliefs. Nothing I ever do works, but I'm going to try this new diet in hopes that it does work. But because this belief over here has been here longer, it's still what you're running on. It's still the program that's running that says nothing I ever do works. So when you do start to get results over here, you're going to self-sabotage because you have a belief that nothing you ever do works. And the first sign of going backwards, like let's say you start this new diet and you're losing weight, you're losing weight, you're losing weight, you're doing good. And then you hit a plateau, which is normal. Then you say, yep, I knew it. Nothing I do works. And so you get off, you go back to old habits, you gain all the weight back plus some, and you're like, yep, nothing I ever do works. And you keep saying that nothing I ever do works, nothing I ever do works. And you keep programming your subconscious mind. So I want you to think about what are some of those conflicting beliefs. Is it that it's your genetics? Is it that you've been this way all your life and nothing's going to change? I talked to a lady yesterday that I accepted as a patient, and she has severe migraines, like severe. And she said, I just gave up. I just thought that I've had these for so long and nobody could figure them out. And they just keep giving me more and more drugs that I was going to have to deal with this for the rest of my life. I'm like, well, would you like that to change? Yes. Do you believe it could change? I don't know. So if I was to push her and say that these are going to change, then her subconscious mind would fight back because it wants to be right. And it's going to fight back and say nothing I ever do works, and I'm going to have to live with these migraines. So it doesn't matter if I had the answer. It doesn't matter if we had the solution. If she doesn't start changing her subconscious mind and that conflicting belief, then she's never going to get rid of her migraines. And so as she's working on that conflicting belief, and we are also working on the 20%, she's going to start to get results. But if we were only doing the 20% and she had this conflicting belief that this is something she was going to have to live for, this is just her life, this is just her, then nothing's going to change. Okay. So the other thing that she thought about and she said, and she realizes is a conflicting belief, and her husband was happy that she was realizing this, is that she said she got the worst of both worlds. She got the worst of both worlds. She got her mom's bad genes and her dad's bad genes. So any disease or problem they had, she had them both. And this was her story. This is what she says. This is what she thought. This is what she told people. This is kind of like the joke that she was making, but her subconscious mind doesn't know it's a joke, and it really thinks that it's true. And so you can see if she thinks that she got the worst of both worlds and that her genetics were determining her outcomes, and she had no control over her health, and her migraines were something she was just going to have to live with forever. I don't care what supplement you take or diet that you do, it's not going to be successful. And so most of the time, as we work with patients, we have to work on both of these things in order to truly move the needle. And this is a lot of work that you have to do on your own. And that, if I could have one wish, it would be that I could work with everyone's subconscious mind. But unfortunately, that's the whole self-development thing. It is self-development, and it's work that you have to do on your own. And not that you can't have guidance and support and resources for that, but it's really work that we have to do. And you can see why it's much easier to just start a diet than it is to have some thought and to go internal and to contemplate. Because you know what happens today? Instead of sitting and contemplating and thinking, this is what we're on. All right. That is what we're on because it's a distraction, and we don't have to sit with ourselves. We can scroll on Facebook, and we can scroll on Instagram, and we can scroll on YouTube, and we can binge watch Netflix, and we don't have to sit with ourselves. So I will challenge you to sit with yourself for like 10 minutes to start and think about false beliefs. Think about conflicting beliefs that you have. Think about how you want to change those and make a different choice. One of the activities that is extremely, extremely powerful is, I want you to do this for me. I want you to shut your eyes. Okay? Don't worry. I'm not going to do anything to you. You're in a safe space. So shut your eyes. And I want you to take a deep breath in, hold it, a deep breath out, hold it, a deep breath in, hold it in, a deep breath out, hold it out. Now, keep your eyes closed. I want you to visualize, see in your mind what it is that you're trying to create. What does your body look like? What does your body feel like? What does it feel like when you're putting on jeans and buttoning them? What does it feel like to be active? What does it feel like to be pain-free? What does it feel like for your brain to work? What does it feel like to be creative again, to connect with your passions again? What does it feel like when you're healthy, you're free of disease? What do your relationships look like? Okay, now you can open your eyes. Now, this is important because remember, I told you your subconscious mind responds to the words that we say and the pictures that we see. Do you know that your subconscious mind has no idea that that movie that you just played for yourself isn't real? It sees it as real, just as you see what we see as a physical world is real. It has no idea if it's in your head or if it's in reality. It's the same thing. So the more that you can visualize what it is that you're trying to create, before you go to bed at night, this is what I always do if I ever feel like I can't go to sleep. I just close my eyes and I start to visualize what it is that I'm creating. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? And then the other key is to pair it with a high emotion, right? You've got to also feel gratitude or love. If you can feel gratitude or love, it actually starts to change your body's physiology. And the more that you see that visualization, the faster that it's going to come into reality. So I want you to think about this. Your body cannot heal when you're in anger, when you're in resentment, when you're in fear, when you're in frustration. It cannot heal. It can only heal when you're in gratitude, love, appreciation, when you're feeling a higher vibrational emotion. So it's okay. We all feel anger at times and fear at times and frustration at times, but you also have to feel love and gratitude and joy. And it's not about the circumstances in your life. You can bring up the feeling of gratitude. Everybody can. Everybody has some kind of access to media. You're on a computer or a phone. You can have gratitude for that. All of you have a house over a roof over your head. You probably have food on the table. So there are things that you can be grateful for, and you've got to feel the emotion. What does it truly feel like? Not just to say, I'm grateful for blah, 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 but to close your eyes and feel the feeling of gratitude and love. That's when your body starts to shift. So this is a game that I play with myself at night, especially if I wake up in the middle of the night or if I'm having a hard time falling asleep or if I feel like I'm wound up. Instead of turning on the TV, I close my eyes and I visualize what it is that I'm trying to create. and I pair it with an elevated emotion of love and gratitude. Gratitude for me is really easy to feel. Okay, so I just pair it with gratitude. And then I try to also go into love as well. But to actually feel the feeling. My body gets a little tingly. I almost feel like I have goosebumps. That's when I know that I'm truly in the state of gratitude. So if you will just do that every night, your mind does not know if that is real or not. It is real to your mind. And the more that you can do that, the faster you are going to create that in your reality. Okay, ladies. So I think that that is going to do it for tonight. One thing that you can do that is so good is to create a dream board. Okay, so a dream board, I'm going to go get mine really quickly. A dream board helps to clearly set an intention. It helps to really refine exactly what it is that you want to do, what it is that you're trying to create. Let me just, what it is that you're trying to create. And it really starts to bring it to life. And it makes you sit and think about what it is that you want, what it is that you want in this season of your life. Nothing is wrong. And the cool thing is if sometimes people are indecisive and they think they want something, but maybe they don't want that. And maybe just stick it on your board. And if you get it and you decide you don't want it, then you can choose differently. Okay. So here is my dream board. All right. So I've got some spirituality stuff, some stuff for the retreat. I've got health goals. I've got travel stuff. This is my dream board. So all you do is you think about, what do I want? And then you go on Google and you Google what you want, and then you click on images, and it's going to give you lots of images, and you scroll until you find the one that feels right for you, and you print it and you cut it out and you stick it on a board. For this, I just use little paper, like little thumbtacks to stick all these in because I didn't have glue at the time. So it's really easy, and I just made like a collage. There's no words. It's mostly feelings. It's mostly images, right? Because that's how our mind responds. Now you can put words on here if you want to, but make it like a collage and fill it all in. And then as you achieve these goals, you get to put something else over the top and something else over the top. This was one of the really amazing activities that I did with my entire family over the Christmas holidays. All the men did it. All the kids did it. And of course, all of us women did it. And I was so proud and encouraged by how beautiful all of the men's boards look. Even my teenagers did it, and it was really encouraging to see what their goals and their dreams are. And they hung the board up where they can see it every day. And that is the other key, is to hang your board up where you can see it every single day. So you guys saw it was right on my wall. I look at it several times a day so I can be reminded, and I can put in my mind the pictures that I want my mind to see, that I want to bring into reality. All right, so I want you, as you're making your dream boards, to post pictures of your dream boards in this group, because I think it will be very inspiring to other women. But I promise you, making a dream board is so important. And my mom, as we were doing this activity, she goes, Heather, you are an expert at making these dream boards. You've been doing it since you were in college. I was like, huh, I have been doing it since I was in college. She's like, you've been making dream boards forever. So I really work on a dream board every single year. And sometimes I just want to redo the whole thing. And other times I have achieved something, so I'll put a picture on top of it. So I'm working to achieve something else, or to attract something else, or to feel something else. But anyway, a dream board is so important to continue to program your subconscious mind for the life that you are truly trying to create. All right, ladies, that's going to do it for today. And I would love to hear your feedback and what you got out of this session.